Hey little bumps. So just a heads up that during this episode, Shane's audio had a little bit of trouble and sometimes there's some clipping and echoing that happens. But we didn't think it sounded bad enough to not release the episode. So we hope you enjoy it anyways. Thanks for listening.
And then I also thought it'd be great to do an episode where I don't mention cum.
Well, this episode is now not one of those episodes.
Well, and that's the bummer part about it, right? Is that bringing up the idea in itself then terminates the possibility.
In order to not mention cum, you must mention cum.
Holy shit.
This is true.
Hello, and welcome to the Bumpy Soup Podcast, a podcast that takes full responsibility for the assassination and cover-up of JFK. I'm Alek. I'm here today with Emily.
Yoo-hoo.
Aqua Supreme.
Bump it up.
And joining us from his house is Shane.
What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up?
His brand new house.
Brand new house.
Brand spanking new.
Shane, do you want to give us
still stinks. Go ahead.
You want to give us a tour of the house?
No. I really don't. I think that I'm in a little too deep with the setup that I have right now to do that.
I see. Okay. Yeah, not mobile.
Yeah. Also, I think that this is a terrible time to show people anyway because of how messy it is. So
yeah.
I think
we
that
have to wait for the Architectural Digest tour.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'll shoot it myself too. I'll ask myself the questions off camera. So it'll be sick.
It's like a tiny desk concert where you submit your house by giving your own tour around it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, tiny desk.
Speaking of which,
Architectural Digest,
tiny house concert.
Tiny house contest. Speaking of which, did you see that a Utah band got onto the tiny desk contest? They won they won it.
Yeah, Little Moon.
Shout out Little Moon.
That's exciting.
Yeah, their video is super cool. They shoot it and they have it set up really well and everything. Yeah, it's a really interesting song too. So shout out Utah bands.
Yeah, what was the name of that song? That chick's vocals, or that person's vocals were insane.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. Super high and really, really strong too.
Yeah.
Which
is a crazy combo.
It was called Eye something, like Moon Eye.
I want to watch it now.
Yeah.
Mini watch of the week?
No, we'll show it afterwards.
Something kind of funny is
Wander Eye.
The Strokes have of their of their members, they have side projects. Fabrizio, who's their drummer, has a side project called Little Joy. And Nikolai, their bassist, has a side project called Summer Moon. And so when I heard Little Moon, I went, wait, is this a weird mashup of this two? No, just random.
No, Summer Joy would be
Summer. Yeah, the opposite. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, if we do that, maybe we'll get on little desk.
Little Moon desk.
Little table concert.
Little Moon concert. We went to the moon to shoot our concert. Let us on NPR.
Yeah. The amount of money you would need to get to the moon and shoot a music video would, I feel kind of overshadow any desire you have to then apply for a tiny desk.
Yeah, someone goes out of their way to try and their whole scheme to get to the moon is to do that. They end up outfunding NASA and everything, and they just want to get on NPR's tiny desk concert.
If I ever get a major label with money put behind me, that's what I'm doing. Fly me to the moon. That's the music video.
That's my first demand.
Fly me to the moon.
First is green Skittles. Second is flying to the moon.
Green Skittles.
Yeah, you've heard about that, right? That's what bands do.
It's a rider.
Yeah, it's in their riders. For venues, they say we want a bowl of only green Skittles in the back, or green M&Ms usually. And I've heard well, go ahead.
Isn't the reason they do that just to make sure that their contract has been read?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So they don't actually want a bowl of just green M&Ms. They want to make sure that the people have read and given and shown their demands. So if they show up there and there's a bowl of green M&Ms, they're like, oh, okay, they actually did everything else.
Or if there's not a bowl of green M&Ms and things go bad and they decide not to play, they have an out for their contract.
There's an episode of Drake and Josh where Josh is serving this girl who's this celebrity, and she's bossing him around. And one of the things that he has to do is she only wants the green gummy bears. And so he just like has a backpack full of every other color of gummy bear. And he's like, the green are the worst flavor. I don't understand.
They are.
Anyway, just thought that was funny. Green M&Ms, green gummy bears.
Shout out white gummy bears.
Shout out Drake and Josh. Not Drake anymore though.
Shout out and Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how's everyone been doing this week?
I've been okay. I have been recovering from a minor back injury.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and stepdad came to visit us for the last 2 days, which was really fun.
And did all our chores.
They did our chores for us. They left the kitchen spotless every night. I kind of wish they lived with us, actually.
Very
Come
nice.
back, Mom.
Is she listening?
No,
Karen.
she's not. She's only watched one of our episodes.
Yeah.
She had lots of feedback for me. Lots of comments about my weight and vaping habit.
Oh.
Classic mom stuff.
Yeah.
You know, typical mom things.
Moms rock.
Shout out
Moms
Karen
do
though.
rock.
She when I moved up to Salt Lake, the first like couple nights I didn't have anything to sleep, like a mattress or anything like that. I just had my laundry. Hello, Daisy. And yeah, she just shows up one morning with a mattress for me. Shout out Karen. That was awesome.
Yeah. Shout out.
She's a homie. Yeah.
So this week I have 3 video games that have been taking up all my time. Summer semester started this week, so I've been doing anything in my power to not do my homework, which means I've downloaded 3 new video games. So the first one is Football Manager, which I don't know if you guys know anything about that,
I've
but
heard of it.
Football or football?
football.
Okay.
Yeah, it's English, but so it's like FIFA, except for you don't actually play any of the games. So you're just the manager. So you just choose who goes out and plays, and then you watch animations of them playing and you yell at them to do better or whatever. Anyways, it's the most nerd stuff I've ever done in my entire life, but like it's fun. It's really addicting, but the whole time I'm doing it, I'm like, I don't know this. It just feels kind of pointless because it's just screens and tables. All right,
Yeah.
Daisy, hello. Then secondly, and this is the one that we were talking about earlier, I've been playing Banjo Tooie.
Yeah.
And that game is fantastic. It is fun, and like it's a big throwback. I remember one of the things as a kid is like it has so many fun things about it, from like the text and like the you know, the way that it's laid out, all to like the way that the characters are, and like the dialogue between the characters breaks the fourth wall all the time. It's really funny.
Yeah, no, the writing in that is super comedic, and it has like a very strong personality to it and like a sense of style. That's like, shout out Rare for coming up with those things. Like, it's really, really good.
Yeah, and it also does, when I was talking about Legend of Zelda, I was talking about how they do this thing where you're in one part of the level and you notice things, but you can't do anything with them. And then later on in the game, you get different abilities and stuff where then you can come back and interact with those things. So you go to the same places you were before, which it's like, this also led me down another thought, which is, I really wish that more games now would do stuff like that, because I think that's really, really a cool thing. But the other thing is that like, the games have already done that. We don't need to do that again. If you want to do that, you can go back and play these games. And if you release this game now, people wouldn't buy it, you know, because it's already been done.
Well, so I'm about to blow your fucking mind. So the genre you're talking about is called Metroidvania. I mean, okay, so Banjo Tooie is a collectathon.
Lay down.
Sorry, Daisy's causing issues.
She's harassing Max.
So Banjo Tooie is a collectathon, but that kind of style of like, you go somewhere, you can see something you can't do yet, you go and get an ability and you have to come back to do it. That's really strong in the Metroidvania genre. So, you know, obviously made big by Super Metroid and Castlevania, but there's been a huge renaissance. Metroidvania is maybe one of the biggest kind of indie genres right now. So like, you know, some of the big ones right now, Hollow Knight is like the fucking biggest one.
Okay.
And that game is great. I remember Shane, actually, you watching me play Hollow Knight once, and you're like, I want to get an Xbox just for this game.
Yeah, man, it looked fun. It looked like it was a good time.
It's great.
Plus,
But
it's like a platformer, which is sick.
yes, it is a platformer. Yeah, and that's one of the main things. That's usually 2D side scrolling. But you also have like Ori and the Blind Forest is a big one. You also have I fucking love Blasphemous. That's a really great game. It uses like old weird Catholic imagery and like kind of like demented sort of like people that are wrapped up in ropes uncomfortably and like tortured souls and shit. It's really cool.
Sounds sexy.
Yeah, but
So
that
like Brad.
like Brad, yes, Shibari boy. Yeah. So that's like, it's a really big genre, and it's really it's almost like to the point that it is. It's kind of oversaturated at this point, but it's in the indie space. So if you're interested in stuff like that, I'd recommend checking out, a lot of the indie games that are happening right now. But keep going.
Well, I think that this is an interesting thing to talk about, because I think that like we talked about like how with records and how like technology affects that, but like talking about like video games, which are all technology, right? It's not recording, it's all that, and how those develop, where like the games that are released now that aren't like that don't use the stuff that Legend of Zelda does or Banjo Tooie does, where like you're in the same worlds and stuff, they're way more expansive, so they don't need to use that type of stuff. But like going back and doing this stuff is still fun, and I think that I don't know, it just feels like old games aren't necessarily played as often as like maybe old music is listened to, you know what I mean? And I think that that's just an interesting thing, if nothing else. Like, just because the technology advances, why would you play an N64 when you have an Xbox, but the experience is going to be fun no matter which one you do. It's just this one is like more fun, or it's new,
Yeah, I would say that there are a lot of people that play older games still, but it is still like more niche. Not in the gaming community specifically, but kind of in like the mainstream community. You get a lot of larger ones, like more like open world games and stuff like that take up a lot of the kind of the media space and everything, because they're big and huge and insane.
Everyone plays them,
but there's a lot tighter sort of game design ideas that are like more focused on specific kind of mechanics and things like that in older games. And there's a lot of that, again, in the indie space. The indie game space is fucking rad, and there's so many cool things happening right now, because there's all these people that grew up with that stuff that are now just making them because they love to make games.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's cool that, I mean, it seems like it takes a lot of money to make a video game, right? And so it seems like it's really hard to just do it out of a labor of love. And like, really, like when I see games released for free, I never understand how that happens, because I'm like, I know the hours that have gone into this. This isn't just like just pop in and do something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how they do that stuff. It's
well,
cool.
I mean, it takes a lot of hours and a lot of like money because of the amount of people, but there's a lot of game developers that are just like single game developers. Like a game that Emily's been playing is Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley. And shout out Concerned Ape.
Yep. Developed by one dude.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually want to know more about that, because if it was developed only by him, that means he did the art. He did like all of the coding to make it a real thing. He also like make all the songs for it. I don't know if he did absolutely everything. But it is kind of cool that a game that is so well known and so loved by a lot of people, it was just one guy who decided to spend years and years of his life making this thing.
Yeah, well, to your point, like the music oftentimes is like the one element that's usually kind of not outsourced, but is done by like a different artist or set of artists. But I'm not sure with that one specifically.
Yeah. It's probably worth asking the internet. Let me ask.
Yeah, well, Banjo Tooie is sick. If you haven't played that in a while, I seriously suggest it. It's on Game Pass. It's also weird playing it on an Xbox now, but I highly suggest that. The other game,
I was just gonna say, Banjo Tooie is one of those like almost perfect sequels. It just like takes everything from the original game, really expands it in a way, and keeps like everything good about it and makes it better.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Eric Barone, also known as Concerned Ape, developed Stardew Valley alone. He created the pixel art, coded the game, and wrote the music.
Wow.
That's insane.
Wow. Shout out Eric.
Yeah.
The other game that I've been playing, because I've also been trying to get Maddie to play Banjo Tooie so I can watch her play that, because that's kind of fun. We only have one TV. So we have one TV and we have a Switch. What I've been playing on the Switch, they just added to Nintendo Switch Online, is Pokemon Stadium.
Let's go.
Yeah, Pokemon Stadium, dude. I've been playing, so like it's kind of weird. You can only really just play battles against people. There's not really like much, there's not like a story mode or anything to it, but like, man, that game is fun. It also like, it couldn't be released today. They're like, Alakazam is so OP. You just do Psybeam every time and you wipe out everyone first try, unless they're a psychic character. Then you just switch to Gyarados and boom. But it's a fun game though, dude. Like this is one game that I can't believe they haven't like revamped, you know.
Yeah. Shane, did you have any games that you played as a kid that were like kind of your favorite games?
Yeah, man, I was a huge game kid. I feel like one singular favorite, if I had to really, I feel like the basis of that would be like amount of hours put in, right? Mm-hmm. For favorite, because I feel like I enjoyed a lot of games, but I think that it would be Windwaker.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you played the other Legend of Zeldas a lot, or just that one a lot?
So pretty much just that one. I actually have Alek's copy of Ocarina of Time right now.
Oh, nice. Have you played that yet?
Yeah, I played a bunch of it.
Okay, cool.
But it was tricky. I think, as a young boy in grade school and even into like my teenage years, it was easier to make time to play video games, Whereas now, like I'm a big boy with big boy problems and like big boy responsibilities. So it's like tough to get into video games.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that Wind Waker probably really was like my very, very favorite, with like Sonic Adventure Battles 2 being a really close second.
Nice. Did that one have the CHOW in it?
It did. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. And that like mechanic of that game specifically was like what convinced me of like, this is like sick.
Yeah.
And I actually it was really funny. I had a moment of heartbreak in that game because eventually your CHOW dies, right? And it can go to heaven or to hell, depending. And so like it kept dying, and I would like stop the game and like restart it and like try to figure out like what the fuck's going on. And then finally I was just like, you know what, man, like this is it. It's gonna die, and it's just what it is. I have to say goodbye to my baby, right? Not knowing
where they were gonna go.
Actually, it's evolving. It's not dying. And it was a really interesting experience of like experiencing grief and loss as like a 8-year-old in a really weird way.
Yeah.
So both of those are on the GameCube, right?
Yeah, I was a GameCube boy for sure. My third place game is Chibi Robo, and I can't remember which one it's called or like what it is, but it's the GameCube one specifically, and that game is so insane. I might have talked about it before.
Yeah.
The premise of the game is that you are like a little AI mini robot guy that's like the size of like a vape, right? And you have like all these like powers, and you can just like run around this house. But like the undertones of the game is that you are purchased by a man who is like failing his marriage.
Oh yeah, dude.
And this was like a last-ditch effort to try and like do something that meant something.
Wow.
And he fucking blew it again because like his wife doesn't give a shit about like toys for kids.
Little cheeky Robo. Oh wow. That's a crazy artistic move. I love that.
Very, very weird. A cool choice, I think. And it's like, as an adult now, it's kind of fun to appreciate that. But as like a kid, it's just like, oh, whatever, this guy's kind of quirky and silly, and his wife's being a bitch. Haha.
Yeah.
Have you played It Takes Two?
No, but I know about it.
Yeah, so it reminded me of that just because, so it's like a 2-player game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's also that same type of thing where you're just playing these 2-player mini games just running around, but the whole backstory is it's this daughter like doing escapism from her parents' divorce that's happening like behind the scenes, and it's like, yeah.
Her parents like get shrunk down to like a small size, right? They're kind of in like...
No. You are like these two little things, and they're
I
big.
Shrunk My Parents. It's
Honey,
the
I Shrunk-
sequel
yeah.
to, yeah.
I saw that one way more.
Fred Armisen was there.
Did you? Was that a Disneyland ride?
Yeah.
Or experience?
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the ride.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
Yeah. Well, cool. That's a cool top 3.
Yeah, they're fun, man. It's all GameCube. I feel like I played like Skyrim, I played Halo, stuff like that, Modern Warfare 2, all those things. But I really liked obviously like open world adventure stuff, and I think that Nintendo has consistently forever like killed that in a really cool way.
Yeah, that's one thing that playing Legend of Zelda and then now playing Banjo Tooie, I keep on asking myself, like, because when I played Oblivion for the first time, I was like, oh, this is open world, and I really liked it. And like, but that stuff is kind of open world too. I mean, it's not as open, but like, I'm walking around going wherever I want to in Banjo Tooie right now. I'm choosing which world I want to be in and going back through them. It's like, it's just as open world. It's just not literally a world that you can walk around,
Yeah, it's relatively linear, but it's also very open too, which is really cool. And Banjo-Kazooie did that as well. Yeah. Banjo-Kazooie, I got a VHS tape like sent to me in the mail. I don't know why, but it was just a trailer for Banjo-Kazooie, and it has John Lovitz. I don't know if you know who John Lovitz is. If you heard his voice or saw him, you probably recognize him. But he's like, Banjo-Kazooie coming to N64 in 1996, and like you can do all these different things, blah blah blah. And I watched that like over and over and over as a kid. I've never been more excited for a game, and then the game itself fucking ruled. It was a great game, and it has had like kind of a resurgence of people being kind of knowing about it and loving it in recent times.
Yeah, and it's weird because Xbox bought it. Which like is it all of Rare that they bought, or is it just the Banjo-Kazooie?
Yep, they bought Rare.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I actually haven't played Nuts and Bolts, but that gets some lower ratings because it's not really the same.
It feels like Jack and Jack's Jack and
Daxter.
Yeah, that's something like that. Yeah,
Jack and Daxter's Laboratory.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Emily, did you have any games as a kid?
Our first, besides Game Boys, our first console at my house was a PlayStation 2. And I remember playing a lot of Spiderman 2.
Yeah. Is that the one that had the bowling mini game in it?
It had, I don't know if it had a bowling mini game.
I think that might have been 3, actually.
It had the Green Goblin in it. And
Godspeed, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Need for Speed Underground 2. We've talked about this already.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Banger.
Yeah, we've talked about how badass that soundtrack is. I fucking love that soundtrack. I'm trying to remember like the games I'd play on my Game Boy. Pokemon Blue was Christopher played the Pokemon Red. I played Pokemon Blue.
Doing the red and blue was a brilliant marketing tactic for like families, right?
Yeah,
because I had blue and Zach had red.
Nice.
Yeah.
Second children
get blue.
Easy. It's okay.
And then
I also had a Bratz Game Boy game where you would like go to the mall and like try on outfits, and you'd get a score for your outfit, or you'd like be in like this shipping area or like a bag checkout thing, and you had to like sort the things. Yeah, that was a good one.
Bratz feels like such a 2000s
oh my gosh
phenomenon, like a riff on Barbie.
My mom would never let me buy a Bratz doll because she's like, this is going to influence you to be a brat. Yeah.
There's someone out there whose mom didn't let them watch Cheetah Girls because they were worried about it. Talking about video games, I just feel like we need to give honorable mentions to Diddy Kong Racing, also Rare. That game, like, just the main like menu thing where you can go around and go through the log and then like go over the waterfalls and stuff, even when you're not racing. That game was so much fun.
That's a Rare game as well.
And
that was like a competitor to Mario Kart, obviously. But I loved that open world aspect to it. It added so much, and it's kind of crazy that hasn't been done since. I mean, if it's a racing game, it requires being in. It either has to be super cartoony or super realistic, right? There's not really a lot in between. And like being super cartoony allowed for that and allowed for these different worlds. And also having the different kinds of carts, having like the hovercraft and the plane, like that was tight.
That game was so much fun. It's also really interesting that Rare is competing with Nintendo, but also going out on the same system that they were.
Well, they're a developer.
Yeah, it's just interesting how that works. Yeah. Another one, and this one is tied to Banjo-Kazooie to me for some reason, but do you remember that Voodoo game?
Voodoo Vince.
Is that what it was?
Voodoo Vince.
I just have like weird memories of that sometimes pop into my head, and like that game, like as a kid, gave me some of the scariest like imagery and thoughts that I ever had.
It was weird. Yeah. Like, so Voodoo Vince, like the whole thing, you're a little voodoo doll, and like how you hurt people is by like stabbing yourself. Super weird. I sold that game on eBay for like $7.
Nice.
Yeah,
that game is also inextricably tied with Streetlight Manifesto.
Yeah, same time period for sure.
Right.
Yep.
We've been playing Ultimate Chicken Horse on the Switch a lot lately, and there is this one feature in that game that I love that was a Donkey Kong feature. It's like that rocket that you jump into and it shoots you.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it like blasts you.
Yeah, and I love it when you get multiple and you can like line them up so you go into them and it's like a chain.
Yeah, definitely one of the best aspects of that game is how like different items interact with each other.
Oh yeah.
And how like if a flaming baseball gets shot into one of those things, it then launches off. It's just, and how you can like stick different objects onto like the sticky stuff. It's really smart and really good at like.
It's a good game.
It's a systems game, and I love it. Yeah,
a really fun also, party game.
It's like that's one thing that's cool about like the evolution of games and stuff is that it's allowed like that game almost feels like idealistically kind of like a board game in that like it's very much you play together and play off of each other and do like it very much seems like something that people could have come up with just thinking about. It's not like a video game that's built on being a video game, right? Yeah. It's like it's just a game that happens to come through that medium.
Yeah, it's a game that's built from the ground up around playing with other people. Well,
it also feels like, remember that game like in the 90s that it's like an engineering game where you'd have to like get a ball to move from with like all these different little pieces you'd like put in there.
The Incredible Machine
is that, but backwards. Yeah, right, is absolutely. Like what this feels like.
Shout out the Incredible Machine. It was like you would basically build a what are those called? Where like you drop a ball and then it hits something and that it does something else. It's a
the Peewee Herman
a Rube Goldberg machine. Rube Goldberg machine. Yeah, and that's what that game is built on, and you just kind of achieve goals. Yeah, I had that on an orange floppy disk, like an actual floppy disk, like real thing. So, shout out.
If you told me that you could pick anything in the world and just be like, "Oh yes, this was created by Rube Goldberg," I didn't believe you. I couldn't prove you wrong. It sounds believable.
He created Jello.
Yeah, I bet he did.
He created streetlights.
Crazy motherfucker. Yeah.
Shout out Rube.
Another thing I'd just like to say, last episode I talked about how I interviewed for that director position. I now got that position. Yeah. So I'll be doing the Town Square director this summer. Yeah.
Nice. So a bunch of kids are going to be listening to you telling them to act.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm trying to think of something cool because like I know that like they've done like Disney ones and stuff, and like if that's what they want me to do, then that's what I'll do. But I want to do something cool. I think it'd be cool to like, I don't know, do like some classic rock stuff. I don't know, trying to do something that their parents will enjoy. I'm not sure. It's just something I'm doing to take up my time.
If they're parents now, that means that they were like kids during like the 90s or like the, like
we're doing Portishead, we're doing 311.
Yeah. You say Portishead?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
They're the I
know where they are, but like that's like a crazy ass like
that's like
we're doing the Offspring.
That's one of Maddie's like mom's like favorite bands.
Portishead.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a crazy. Yeah, I saw them with Coheed.
Really?
Yeah, and the Deer Hunter. I got into that show for free because Deer Hunter lifer.
Hey.
Yeah. That's a crazy reference. So if any of Aqua's students are watching right now, stop being a little shit.
Yeah, please listen
nice
to me.
Him.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to be like high schoolers. I'm pretty sure it's going to be cool. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that they're going to be cool people to hang out with. So
do your fucking acting subtext and bump it up, okay?
Yeah, come on, guys. I'm really worried about having to hang out with theater kids again. That was one thing I dealt with through my entire time in high school. I finally escaped it, and now I'm putting myself back in there again, and I'm not really sure how it's going to go.
So it's like a city theater program. Mm-hmm. These might not be theater kids. These might just be kids that their parents are making them sign up for this summer.
That might be true,
activity.
Except for I have to cast them, so they have to be good at what they're doing. Yeah, I got to do a whole thing. Yeah,
I see. Yeah.
That's exciting.
I'm also running the movie in the park, so if anyone in St. George, Utah is looking for something to do in a park, come there and I'll be there.
Gonna play Serbian film, Solo, 1,000 Days of whatever it is.
Grave of the Fireflies.
Grave of the Fireflies for all the Studio Ghibli fans out there. Schindler's List.
The one really weird movie that David Lynch did, the first one he did,
Elephant Man.
Yeah, or whatever. The Eraserhead. Yeah, just on repeat.
Yeah.
Tusk.
Yeah. Rubber.
Poughkeepsie Tapes.
Yeah, exactly. The classics.
Classic. Yeah, classics.
Peewee Herman's Big Adventure.
Oh my God.
It's the second Peewee Herman reference today.
Yeah, a nice little palate cleanser.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta put them through hell and then bring them out with.
Look, no. Let's also talk about this. Peewee Herman is another one of the things that gave me one of the scariest visuals of my entire childhood life. The clowns. Where they're taking apart the bike and stuff like that in the dream, and it's like the clown doctors. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Why did they have to do that? What was and like Large Marge too?
Large Marge.
That was a children's show. What was up with that? The 90s had a thing with being scary for kids.
Yeah, and people got away with it, and they should still. This is the Bumpy Soup request that kids shows should be scarier.
I don't know. I never liked all that scary stuff when I was a kid, but it's fine.
I don't know. Coco Melon is scary.
Yeah, but it's scary on like an existential level, not on like a spooky level.
I saw Jade Whitlock, shout out his band Assisted Living. I saw on his Instagram story the other day, he was like, what is going on with Mexican kids television?
Yeah,
and it was just like all these like the scariest, most like uncanny valley.
3D.
Yeah, just like this is horrifying. Why are you watching this? Yeah.
That's terrifying. Oof.
I'm wondering if anyone has the time.
It's 9:21 right now.
What does that mean?
I think that means that it's time for Supreme 60 Seconds of Soccer.
Oh, I was gonna say 5 hours past 4:20, baby.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Yeah, but we don't make 420 jokes on here because we're a good, lovely podcast.
We would never joke about 420.
Oh, 420.
Never do that.
And your time starts now.
Okay, welcome to Supreme 60 Seconds of Soccer. Let's go.
Yeah.
Firstly, Real Salt Lake changed the name of your stadium. Okay, moving on. Fuller and Balogun has committed to the United States. Let's fucking go. The New York-born striker finally committed after the entirety of USMNT Twitter spent the last year blowing up every single post he made with American flags. He currently has 19 goals and 22 appearances this season on loan to Reims, I don't know how it's pronounced. It's in France. This is a big deal. This is like the missing piece that we just became a lot better team with him on there. So really excited about that. Let's go. Moving on. Fulham relegated Southampton on Saturday. I feel pretty bad about it. They spent 11 years in the Premier League, and they had players like Sadio Mane and Virgil van Dijk come through their ranks, and now they got relegated. And I feel I don't know. I just remember how I felt, and I feel pretty sad. Sorry, Southampton. Moving on. RSL drew 0-0 with Portland last week.
You're done.
Boo.
Sorry.
No more talking.
That's it. I was going to make fun of a bald guy, but I guess I won't. No one got any points last week because it was a 0-0 draw. Moving on.
So then I did.
I have a thing. If someone is guessing 0-0 on every prediction, are they a nihilist?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's what we call them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so for predictions.
I had a thought also. Isn't there a funnier amount of time for Supreme 60 Seconds of Soccer?
Holy shit.
69 seconds.
That's actually really
true.
good. Wow, that's really good.
I move to change it to Supreme 69 Seconds of Soccer.
Yeah, I'm going to finish this now. I'm just kidding.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
69.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so RSL actually plays Colorado back-to-back because they play them in MLS and they play them in Open Cup. So we're doing an Open Cup prediction. So if you predict a draw, you're going to have to guess who comes out on penalties too. So, okay, Alek, go ahead. RSL versus Colorado.
RSL.
Score?
3-1.
3-1 RSL. Emily?
I'm going to say RSL 2-1.
1 RSL. Shane?
I'm going to go 10-10, lots of fun. And then on penalties, we'll do 6 and then 9. And 9 to RSL.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. And I'm going to say it's going to be a 2-2 draw that ends with RSL winning, baby.
Love it. Okay, wait a second. So if let's say it's a 2-2 draw, and then RSL gets 1.5. Does that mean that is 3-2 technically?
Yeah. Well, so if it's an extra time, then yeah. If it goes to penalties, then that stuff doesn't count, and they just.
You know what? I'm not going to ask you what that means. So that sounds good.
You need to learn the rules of soccer first in order for the answer to make sense.
I will never learn the rules of soccer.
That's all right. There's like 2 rules. Don't touch it with your hands.
Yeah. So I had one really quick story, which is that we were at Harmon's and we got checked out, and we go up there and
we got checked out.
Yeah, we got checked out. And I was like, how are you doing to the lady? And she's like drinking a swig cup, and she's like, good. I wish this was rum. I was like, all right.
Ma'am, this is a Harmon's.
Like, okay, cool. And then she like starts talking about her mom, how her mom was an alcoholic and how she doesn't really like alcohol. And I was like, what have we gotten into? And at the end, like after she gave us everything, we got everything. She's like, all right, thank you. I love you.
No way.
Like, fuck yeah, this lady rules.
The cup definitely already had rum in it.
Yeah.
It already was there.
Yeah, I think it did.
That's hilarious.
Not to get anyone at Harmon's fired, but like shout out Harmon's for letting their rum cup lady be the
checkout experience I've had.
What is the likeliness that Maggie set them up to be weird?
I don't think I don't think there's any chance. Well,
so.
there is a chance, but I don't think so.
I bet that she's told a lot of people to do that, but I don't know if anyone's done it because she told them to do it.
Yeah. Also, I feel like it'd be kind of a weird dare to just be like, yeah, okay, just like be strange and weird to them.
I dare you to drink rum.
Trauma dump. I dare you.
Here's a photo of my brother and his girlfriend.
Tell them you love them.
If you see them ever,
yeah, tell them you love them.
Yeah.
It's like the photos of the people who are known shoplifters.
These are the customers we love.
Known friends and family.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
That's kind of fun, like a free pass for like employees to start working on bits. They're like, hey, so check it out. If you got something you're working on, you're like type 5, right? You can take it out. You really, woodshed it with my brother and his partner.
Yeah,
this would be great.
Like in the interview process, they're like, okay, what's your work history? Blah blah blah. Do you have any bits?
Yeah, right. Yes.
I'm like, okay, I got this rum bit. Okay, they're like, okay, and they like tell them, I got an alcoholic mom. Okay, pretty good. And then at the end, I tell them I love them.
Oh yeah.
Like, okay, yeah,
hired on the
You're
spot.
hired. You already a floor manager?
Yeah,
I like the idea that everyone constantly has bits.
What were you saying, Shane?
I can't. I don't think I could possibly ask for more from an employee personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, top tier.
Yeah, I think closing with "I love you" is rock solid. I've been doing that for years at this point with people. So I stand behind it. My favorite, my go-to is people are leaving. I'll wait until like they can maybe just barely hear me, and I say, "Love you, bye."
And
so like people I don't know, people that I just met, people around my office, professional people, whatever. It's one of my favorite things to do, to see how close I can get to like have someone turn back around and be like, "What?"
Yeah, like as they're walking out the door. So like at that point, it's like weird for them to like turn back in, but like also then they have to feel bad on the way home. They're like, he said I love you, and we did not say I love you back.
See, you play these games. I'm just like terrified whenever I'm in a social situation. Shane's over here playing games with people instead.
Fuck them with them.
Dude, I'm working on my type 5 everywhere I go with every person I meet.
Type 5, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good, dude. So here's the thing, man. I was thinking about this interaction you guys had, and I hear people talk about this all the time. Like people just having weird interactions with weird people. And I always feel like I wish I was there. I wish I was there to be a part of it, to experience it, see what's going on. And because I am more than happy to chit chat with them, right? I'm happy to indulge, and I'm more than happy to sit there and like dig. I want to know more, right? And I feel like I don't have very many of those experiences. But then I also think that maybe I have a ton of them and I just don't realize it because my first inclination is to just like dig.
You don't think like, oh, this is a weird person. You think like, oh, finally, yeah.
Maybe you're the weird person in the interaction.
For sure, absolutely, it's got to be the case, right? Because if a woman said, "I wish this was rum," it'd be like, "Oh, sure, why isn't it?" Right? And then they go into, "My mom's an alcoholic." It's like, all right, so like, is your relationship with your mom and alcohol strained? Then is it weird?
You start like doing therapy a little bit with
You
them.
make them take a break.
Yeah.
Tell me about your relationship with your mother.
Right. Well, is it any better with your dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. Well, Shane, every time that we go to the grocery store, you're invited.
Perfect.
We don't want you to feel excluded.
Yeah. We need help during these interactions.
Yeah, just tag me in and then I'll jump in.
Got you.
Hold up the line. It'll be awesome. Everyone got to talk about their week except for me.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Shane, how was your week?
My week was good, man. It's been cool. It's been really, really busy, kind of stressful, but like I said the last time I was on, it's all good stress, right? But I've been really introspective, thinking about stuff, thinking about loss, thinking about grief, thinking about love, thinking about cool stuff, nice stuff, positive stuff. But I've really been thinking about the fact that I missed being on the pod with Jack a lot. And I was jacked off to have Jack on.
Yeah. Oh man, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah. So obviously I can say it now, but it definitely doesn't hit nearly as hard.
That's pretty good. We can edit that in.
I guess there's still time. Yeah, you're right. Maybe we got a couple in the can. But no, I've been doing that, and then I've been trying to come up with some ideas for Father Ivory's Idea Corner. And I don't really have a whole lot. I had a couple thoughts. Number one, and this is kind of really the only idea, is I would love to do an episode with no swears.
It's hard. Okay.
Just to see.
Okay.
Right?
I love that.
The mom's episode.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What'd you say, Max?
Well,
Oh, we were talking about a mom's episode at one point, and we were saying about the swearing. Anyways, just yeah.
Oh yeah. And then I also thought it'd be great to do an episode where I don't mention cum.
Well, this episode is now not one of those episodes.
Well, and that's the bummer part about it, right? Is that bringing up the idea in itself then terminates the possibility.
In order to not mention cum, you must mention cum.
Holy shit.
This is true.
fucking squeaky toy.
Oh, god damn it.
Awesome.
Okay.
What if instead of swearing, like, Max mouth the word fuck?
Yeah. We had that someone just like foot on the hot dog
At all times.
Yeah. Well, and so I thought you could even call that episode Bleepy Soup.
Bleepy Soup's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Instead
that.
of Bumpy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are that's Father Ivory's Idea Corner for right now.
Well, okay.
That's what I
So
got.
since you brought up Father Ivory's Idea Corner, I had one of the bits from that. So this is Alek's Plagiarism Corner.
Hey.
Sweet.
All right. So about 100 years ago, like more like 90. Okay. So like 87 years ago. All right. Me and my dad, we came over to this place to like decide what we were going to do with it. And that's as far as I've gotten in this. I really hope you guys can guess it. 87 years ago. Me and my dad, my grandparents, the people that came before me, my father's from before.
holes?
And
Like 87, like how could you say like 87 differently? Maybe like 87's like it's like 80 and 7. It's like 4 20s and 7. It's like 407
Yeah,
years ago.
I was gonna say the Gettysburg Address is all that I get.
That's right. Wow. Oh damn! Abe got to it first. Fuck.
Sorry, Abe.
Yeah.
Alec, I think that was too smart.
It was too smart.
It
Yeah,
was
I
too
was
smart
expecting.
for
I was
us.
expecting it to be like a TV show or something like that. I was thinking. I was
No.
like, did they make the Gettysburg
No,
TV
I was
show?
trying to end slavery. You guys think I was doing a bit? Yeah. Well, any more ideas, Shane?
I've been working on I've been writing a script.
Oh.
Yeah.
For what?
I signed up for I signed up for the Guerrilla filmmaking competition for the summer edition.
Ooh.
And so I've got like an absurdist comedy that I'm working on. And it has to be filmed really soon because I think the submission is like the early June probably. So I got to finish that up and then find actors and then shoot it and then edit it. But yeah, man, it's been fun. I what I found is that like I'm awful at writing. And I don't do it, so I'm not going to get any better either, right? And so the nice thing about going with something that's like kind of absurdist is that if it feels uncomfortable and weird, if I lean into it just a little bit more, then it becomes cool again and good instead in the context of like what I'm trying to write. And so it's about 3 brothers trying to fix their car that's broken down, but they just keep getting interrupted.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
What's the prompt?
So it was kind of weird because I've only done the horror one, and that one's really easy, right? It's like you have one line of dialogue, and then you have your prop you have to include. But for the summer, it's just like you have a kind of shoot. So like this time around, because I've never done the summer one before, it was like you could do like a mockumentary or documentary, you could do a music video, you could do something that's shot all in one location, you could do something about a pet, you could do something in a foreign language, right? Like these kinds of things. And then you had one line of dialogue you had to include. And so my prompt was, it's a single shot.
Oh, fuck.
And I thought it'd be a lot of fun to just do one shot, right? Because it doesn't have to be particularly dynamic. It just has to be a single shot. And with it being kind of absurdist comedy, I love the idea of like, rather than having to like reframe, just crash zooming as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, dude. Crash zooms fucking rule.
Right? And I think that would add to like the comedy aspect of it too, maybe, hopefully, depending, right? But yeah, so my favorite joke so far is they get some food delivered and it falls on the ground, and so you have Bobby Dirk, who's one of the characters. You have Randy P, and then you have Randy P the second. But Randy P and Randy P the second are brothers. So
they just named their second brother.
This.
Yes.
Is the P the same name?
Is that what?
Is the P the same name? Like, is it Randy Patrick and then Randy Patrick the second, or is it a different P name?
Yeah, no, it's exactly like that, right? And so what happens is this food falls on the ground, but they're hungry and they need to eat whatever. So Randy P the second grabs the food, starts eating it, and Bobby says, "Randy P, why would you eat that?" And then Randy P says, "Well, I'm not," right? And he said, "Not you, Randy P. Randy P the second, Randy P."
Yeah. Nice. Good PP joke.
And yeah, right. So I'm thrilled with that.
So I have a question. Was the one line that you have to use Randy PP?
I wish that's what it was. No, it's pizza time. Yeah, the line is pizza time! !
Pizza time.
which I would assume is a nod to Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, Spider-Man. Yeah.
Spider-Man Pizza Time. Everyone knows that new movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it like Into the Spider-Verse? Into the Pizza Time.
Yeah. Into the Pizza Time. Okay, so I figured something that might be fun is some Bumpy trivia that we could try. Okay.
Ooh.
So this one, this week's Bumpy trivia question is, what did Bumpy Kanahele do? What is he famous for? Okay. Was he a baseball player? Was he a Hawaiian nationalist? Was he the bassist of the Eagles, or was he a professional bull rider? And so think about those 4. Bumpy Kanahele, what is he famous for? Was he a baseball player? Was he a Hawaiian nationalist? Was he the bassist of the Eagles, or was he a professional bull rider?
Well,
think about that, and then at the end of the episode, after Watch of the Week, we'll go over the
Okay, I already
answers.
had the answer, but we'll wait till the Watch of the Week is over. Cool.
What?
We have to wait till the end?
Yeah. Just keep on thinking about it, and we'll come back to it.
Yeah, I'm going to forget this.
Shane was doing an interesting arm thing. Is that your thinking position?
I'm trying to pull it out of the air. Trying to suck it up.
All right.
If you
like I know what it
have
is.
things to say about that, your word you might forget, go ahead and say them.
Well, I'm not going to forget. I just know the answer.
Oh, you just do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, let's get into the Watch of the Week, shall
Ooh,
we?
yes.
All right. So Watch of the Week this week is Nirvana the Band, the show. Season 1, Episode 4, The Blind Side. So I recommended this Watch of the Week. And why I did it, we'll talk about this a little more later, is that Matt Johnson is the one that like kind of directed and helped make this along with his crew. And Matt Johnson just directed Blackberry with Glenn Howerton and Jay Baruchel and Matt Johnson in it. After that, I watched a bunch of interviews, and then I found out about Nirvana the Band, the show, and then I checked it out, and I was like, this fucking rules. So I decided to recommend it. So the premise of this episode is that Matt and Jay, the 2 main characters, Matt has gone blind from watching too much Star Wars, and then they decide that they're going to do a Star Wars show to try and get into the Rivoli, which is like their kind of whole thing, and then they go to a Star Wars thing and they get kicked out. And there's more to this, but I think that you should just watch it. I think that you should watch Nirvana the Band, the show. It's a really funny show, really funny style and everything. And yeah, what do you guys think of this?
It used to be on Vice, but now you can watch it
used
on
to be on
Internet
Viceland.
Archive.
Yeah, it used to be on Viceland, but now you got to find it. You got to find a rip. There's one that they uploaded themselves that you can find if you just search.
You say Viceland?
Viceland.
Like
Viceland.
Yeah, not like Vice. Like
Sorry.
Iceland.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm from Viceland, so I know how we say it. And now Vice just filed bankruptcy.
Aww.
Really?
Yeah. So
Well, I don't have many qualms with that, considering who their founder is.
yeah, but Spike Jonze was an executive producer of their TV division, and
That's pretty cool.
you know what? I stan a lot of Vice stuff.
When I was in high school, I liked a lot of their documentaries. I think a lot of their documentaries go into eco-fascist territory. That doesn't mean that they're not interesting, but I stand by my...
Dev from Delta Sleep did a documentary that he won an award for from Vice about
Really?
COVID in
I
Italy.
didn't know
Yeah,
that.
that's true.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about Nirvana the Band, the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Wait, hold on. Is it Jay? Is that guy? Jay Baruchel?
No, that's a different Jay.
Okay, that's okay.
There's more Jays.
I really, really like their motivation that just carries every single episode.
Mhm.
Like they're this 2-man band that is trying
Yes.
to get a show at this venue.
At the Rivoli, yeah.
And like every episode is a different plan
Mhm, it's all
that they're
plots.
trying to make their way in. It's just a really silly motivator.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but it works.
It does, and it gives them just like kind of a starting point to like come up with ridiculous plans and then kind of go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys think?
I thought the fact that guy, the whole time I was thinking to myself, this guy reminds me of some guy, and I didn't know who it was. And then you said Jay Baruchel, and I went, oh, it's him. And the fact that the actor
It's not.
isn't him, it gives such him vibes for sure. Like the way he looks and the way he acts, for sure, gave me those vibes the whole time. Anyways,
Okay.
Something interesting about this show, I kept on thinking to myself the whole time, like, what about this is making me want to watch this so much? Like as soon as it starts, just immediately it was like, this is so funny. Like even if they weren't saying something funny, I was excited to see what it was that they were gonna, like, it just immediately drew me in and immediately said like, these guys are going to say something that's gonna make you laugh. And it helps having just a ridiculous dude be blind, right? Like that's just really, really funny. But like also just the way that they're acting, it's just like, yeah, I know this is going to be funny. I don't know what it is, but I want us to be able to take that and do that same thing. Yeah, they do it so well.
The very first interaction, he's like doing the devil sticks, and he's like trying to explain what's cool about them, and he drops it, and someone rides by and is like, real cool, huh? And like already it's like he gets like bummed out from not being cool enough. Like, and already you're like, oh, this is so stupid that there's this guy that's like doing this dumb thing and gets bummed out by the fact that he's not cool now and then shown. Yeah.
Well, and I also think it's funny they specifically whoever the guy with the blonde hair,
Matt.
So he like is so close to doing a Tim Robinson thing without knowing it, because this is like years before Tim Robinson. Like he, you know what I mean? He's like walking that line where it's not quite there because he's not referencing that, but he is right close to that same idea. You know,
it's close to it. Yeah. Shane, what did you think?
I thought it was awesome, man. I thought it was really, really fucking funny. I loved it. I enjoyed every single second of it.
Good.
Yeah, no, it was not necessarily surprising, but it's like always a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
To watch something that I really, really enjoyed. It was funny, man. I love the concept, love the idea of the two dudes together. I really, really like the idea of people being lame and not realizing it.
Yeah, yeah.
As like a concept.
Yeah.
And I think that it's like, it's cool that it's like these two dudes that are like going to do something like, we're going to be cool. We're going to do this cool thing. And like they're fucking dorks the entire time.
Yeah.
Which is, there's like something endearing and cool and obviously very funny about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I also, I mean, I love the way that it was shot. I think that like the kind of handheld zoom ultra digital look like was really sick.
And the like getting thrown out of the mall mid shot.
Yeah, dude. Or even like I mean, I don't know, it felt like, it kind of reminded me of like The Office, honestly.
Yeah.
Is what was my first thought. And even Max, you saying like, oh, this is, I don't know what it is, but like this makes me want to watch it. Like there's something about it. And if like that's like the first connection that I made is like, oh, this kind of feels like watching The Office. And it's just because of the camera style, right? The zooms, the things like that.
Yep.
And it also feels very like off the cuff, kind of like playing off each other a little bit.
Yeah, so
which I really enjoyed too.
I should give a little bit of background. So this show is it's not like specifically improv, but it's very improv. So what they'll do is that they'll kind of have an idea and then they'll go out in public and they'll film and they'll kind of like get themselves in situations and then they'll just kind of react to people. And from there, they will then kind of like improv, like almost plots. Like so these guys, at least at the time, they all kind of live together in a house. Or they all live together and they all work together. Matt, Jay, Jared, who is the main camera guy. And then I think it's Adam Appel, I'm not quite sure, them, and I'm not sure who else, but they all like were there. And so their style of filmmaking is really cool, where it's very off the cuff, very improvisational, we have an idea, let's go shoot it and like let's go get something. They had a thing where they would like go out and they'd like find an event and they'd go and shoot at that event and then they build a storyline based on like what they had shot. So they went to like a 420 festival and like he grabs a bunch of like these chips and he walks around and people like grab them. He's like, no, my friend. And like their joke was like, oh, it's my friend's birthday that I'm bringing him chips for. And all these people are taking all these like snacks from me. And they built an episode around that in season 2. And so their style is very like improv and very like, grabbing onto what they have, and the writing is part of the production process, and it's kind of constantly like the editing is part of the production process, and they're kind of constantly building off of it. And so
you're saying when they went to that theater and filmed inside of that theater and then got kicked out of that theater for filming, they actually went into that theater, filmed inside of that theater, and got kicked out for filming in that theater in real life.
So
holy fuck.
Yeah. So from what I've gleaned, and I've watched a lot of interviews, at the very least, the scene where like after they get kicked out and they're saying they're talking, and then the people walk up and they're like, hey, who said you could film here? That all happened. And like they came up at the perfect time to ask them, you guys need to leave. I don't know if they actually were doing the filming in the theater, but I'm inclined by what I've seen before that they actually were in the theater, actually talking like that, actually getting kicked out like that.
Sick.
Just the concept of like telling your blind friend what's happening and starting it with the Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
I was thinking that such a funny thing to do that with too, because it's not just describing. It starts off with the full text where you're just reading it. Everyone's watching this, getting ready to like watch and read this thing, and then someone just starts reading it out word for word.
And it's almost like forgivable a little bit when they're reading it out loud, but then when it's like pan down, where they're in space, it's like, oh fuck, he's gonna do this the entire time.
I really liked how Matt is like 2 inches away from the TV for like all
so into Star Wars.
and then
That's what
he
burns
looks
out his
towards
eyes,
the
right?
camera and he's like, is it dark in here? But his eyes are like bloodshot and you're like, oh my god, he's blind.
The way that he looks right there is so funny.
It's so funny.
It's like the way that he looks when he like, it shows that and he's like, he got Star Wars and he's like looking at the camera, his eyes are just like kind of almost like dead a little bit. Like he does these really funny looks at the camera, and Jay also does these really funny looks that are almost like more more heartfelt and more like smiley and more kind of like yeah.
That's one of the things I had written down is they both look funny. Like they're both just kind of funny looking dudes, and it like I think that plays into the like I know this is gonna be funny because of how they look, but like. And I think him kind of looking like Jay Baruchel kind of plays it like it's kind of I know that this is going to be a funny thing.
I think that Jay is like more traditionally handsome, which they play off in this episode with him dressing like Han Solo, you know. And he definitely makes a better Han Solo for what it's worth.
We are never gonna know.
We're never gonna know.
Yeah.
But the outfit that they got for Matt to wear is the perfect like.
And the bananas in the holster.
Oh yeah, he's like, oh, I can give you my gun, and he's got a banana there. Like, god damn it. Banana blaster is what I wrote.
The part that made me laugh the hardest was when they're sitting there trying to like come up with their plan or whatever, and he's at the whiteboard, and so I forget what it is, what happens, but he goes, oh, and he starts like flinging around, and then he touches the whiteboard, and he goes, what's that?
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Go ahead.
One of my favorite things about the way that the whole thing is introduced is that he's blind for at least 2 days, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like the doctor says it's gonna be 48 hours. They cover up his eyes. He's got the glasses on and everything, right? But he's discharged completely by himself from the hospital.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah.
Just let out. Yeah.
And he's like tripping on the curb and shit. He's like, hey. And he's doing the devil sticks, whatever. That was so funny to me, the idea of just like discharging a blind person.
Yeah.
Who's like recently blind.
Yeah.
And not like having anyone there to help. Yeah.
That's so funny.
It's insane. It's so fucking stupid. It also reminded me of Patrick's blindfold in the desert. Not to do too many spoilers.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like practical effects, right? Like he's actually like he probably really was truly blind. Like he probably really couldn't see.
Yeah.
You know what I realized is, and this was 2 nights ago when we showed a rough cut to my mom and stepdad of episode 3. Patrick says I can't see shit, and his blindfold is a pair of underwear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Was that intentional?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another thing about the blindness and this, another favorite part of mine that references that is when Jay leaves the theater and he's like running after Matt, and he like goes up to the taxi and he's like, have you seen a blind guy running around here? And then the cab driver goes, I can't see.
Yeah. And shit like that, like that's unscripted. They just got that, and that guy just said that, and you're like, that works. How did that just happen to work? That's amazing.
Another one, this is just the idea of the fight scene being so long.
Yes.
It went on forever, and then it would stop, and then it would keep on going. And like I kind of like lost interest at one point, and then came back, and I was like, they're still fighting? What the hell just happened?
And the fight scene is actually really well like done.
It's like choreographed.
It is. Yeah.
I also think it's funny that in the middle of the fight scene, the cops are coming. And then they're just not coming anymore at some point. They just move on from it.
Yeah. Or there's like this biker that just rides by. Yeah. Like rings its bell. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I imagine that they just heard cop sirens and they decided to just edit that in, you know? Or like a biker just rode by and I decided to
They're
edit
just
that
like,
in.
there's cop lights in the background, so that's part of this now, and now it's not. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think this episode maybe doesn't even do the best job of showing off their kind of improvisational, in public filming style and interacting with people, because that's like a primary thing that they do throughout the entire series, is that they kind of go out there and they act, but they're just, they have the cameras far away, so people don't know that they're like on camera, and they're just kind of like interacting, but they have their own storyline that's going on, and it's really interesting how it's done, and you end up getting moments like kind of that.
I like how just like the emotional admission that Matt has after the fight. The way he delivers it, he's like, I just wanted to prove to you that blind people could be cool. It's just, I lost it. I lost it.
The idea of someone being blind, I don't know, but someone like him being blind, right? And just like almost like not reacting to the world like you're blind, but just be like, he like constantly puts himself in situations where the blindness becomes an issue, you know?
When he's like in the theater, when they're out in the lobby, and he's like just talking to people, and he's like, oh, you want a picture? Okay. He's like, I'm still smiling. Yeah, really good.
I love that scene at the end of the fight, right, where he's like, I just wanted to show you blind people could be cool, right? Oh man. I started crying in my office.
Yeah, the way he delivers that, and the line itself is so fucking funny.
Yeah.
I think I think that was the point where I was like, oh my god, this is this is fucking perfect. Like,
there is something about the way that this episode like goes story-wise that makes me think of good show stuff. Like there's
watching this, like I really wish I had seen this before we filmed episode 3, because for some reason the blind guy gives me real Aqua vibes, and like I wish I could have like channeled some of that, you know?
Yeah. No, I totally get it. And then also it's called
it's Nirvana, the band, the show.
Nirvana,
good
the band,
show.
the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
They also have like the white text on the black background. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention also the title sequence to this one. Have you guys seen Daredevil?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's like a shot-for-shot remake of that.
Remake.
And then it just comes up, the band, the show, Nirvana.
Yeah. So they do that with all of them, right? So they do different things. Maybe not in the first
Are they all
episode,
references?
But yeah, they'll do like a Home Alone one where they will like fucking shot for shot remake the Home Alone thing, or they'll do it with like Miss Doubtfire, or like whatever thing they're referencing. They will do it exactly. And it's like so... I love it.
Look, all TV shows should have references in them. I'm glad that they do that. I think that like it's a TV show. It's not a movie. It's not, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's certain things with it, and I love it when they have references like that, where it's like it's part, you know, I love it, because even like the Daredevil thing, like that's not heavily throughout it. It comes back at the end to be a thing, but like it's not super heavy throughout it, but they still put that there as like Yeah,
you also get things like, you know, in the middle of the fight, there's two of them. One of them where Jay's like, fatality. Which says more about the character than anything, right? It's not just a reference, it's a character showing that that's their point of reference for fighting, right? Mm-hmm. And then also once he gets done, he was like, that's from King of Fighters, when he does that laugh, which is a video game, and it's showing this character of these characters reference these things because they're so integral to their friendship, to their personality, to like what they know about the world.
Which is interesting. It kind of goes along with that video that I was sharing. I shared in the group chat that talks about like decisions being made to deepen a character rather than to carry on the story. Yeah. And that's kind of that. I mean, like that line is unnecessary. So it could be looked at as like, oh, they put that in there just to show. But like things like that, anyways, just interesting.
Well, I feel like with the option, you know, it's kind of between reinforcement or development. Right, like those are kind of the two things you get to choose between, and so
you kind of can like
this is like a good.
Yeah, you can kind of show more about them, or you can continue to reinforce, as you said.
Yeah.
So Shane unfortunately has to leave us right now.
Bye-bye. It's his bedtime.
Yeah.
Please.
I was gonna ask if you're a me guy or a honk snoo kind of guy.
No, I'm a me guy for sure.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah, definitely.
Good to know.
Well, Shane, thank you for joining us and being part
Yeah,
of
it
it.
was good to see everybody.
Yeah, have a good
Even if
little
it was
sleepy
through the
time.
phone. Thank you so much.
And you'll just have to
I love you
Google
all.
the trivia answer, bro. You'll never know now.
Bye, Shane.
Bye.
Wait, I'll just give you my answer, and then you can tell me for the next 69 seconds of soccer.
Yeah,
or
let's hear.
whatever.
What's your answer?
Well, so initially I thought it was baseball. It sounds like a baseball name. But then the problem is I don't know where that last name comes from, because I know there's a lot of really great Brazilian bull riders, and I don't think that name is Brazilian, right? And the Eagles feels like it's so out of left field, but I also know nothing about the Eagles. So my final answer is he's in the Eagles.
Okay. He's in the Eagles.
Well, you'll
There
find
you
out
go.
next time, Shane.
With baseball being my second choice. So
Okay.
He plays
All right.
baseball for the Eagles. Yeah.
Yeah.
mm,
All right.
the same to me anyway. All right.
See
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Au revoir.
All right. Thank God that guy's gone. God damn.
No, we like him.
Yeah, we do like him. Man, now I want to give my trivia answer. Okay, so I want to go through a list of just like different bits and things that I've written down.
Yeah.
So the skateboarder showing up at the beginning, where he's like longboarding.
Yes.
Really funny.
He was an interesting skateboarder. I really wish you had seen him.
Right, yeah. It's like how they play that off. And that guy was almost definitely just riding through, and they just played with it.
Yeah,
And-
that's really funny knowing that this is improv now, because I just thought that was a really good bit.
No.
You know, but like, no, that's just really
They
them
just
just
saw this guy.
talking shit. Yeah.
And then Matt's like, wicked. And then he like goes, he's like, all right, high five. And he puts up his hand. He's like, you're going to just have to hit my hand because
Yeah.
he's blind.
Wait, sorry. One thing about the skateboarder guy. As he's riding off, they do this shot where they're talking and he's riding off in the background. And I
Yeah.
thought to myself, like, man, he's about to get hit by a car, right? Knowing now that that might not be set. But what's even funnier then is later on when they're in the fight scene and there's he's standing there and I go, he's about to get hit by a car. This is the same thing. That's just random. And then he does get hit by a car.
Yeah.
And I went, oh my God. I wonder
Yeah.
if that was on purpose.
Yep. I wrote Daredevil opener. In the series, this is the first time they do something that crazy for an opener. They
Okay.
do other references, but this is the first time that it's like they spent VFX money on that. That cost fucking money to make that, because like you have to model Jay's entire Jay's whole thing. Like, let's see. During the flashback, he's like, I can only do it on the wet spots. And he like has to like jump under the wet water. To,
Oh,
like,
Yeah.
Well, but they didn't ever explain that
No,
either.
it was just funny, and that's what I love about this. Is it's just funny, you know. And then he's saying something, and he's like, "Yeah, put it up your ass," and Jay's like, "Ha ha ha!" He just laughs, and Matt's like, "Oh, was that funny? I thought it was just stupid." He's
That
like,
was funny
noted.
to you?
Use up your ass as a punchline more often. Like that's just a great thing. The earnest trans conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, while he's going out and
Yes.
putting his stuff outside.
Yeah.
And he's just doing that, and it just has this conversation playing over, and I'm like, this is like kind of like interesting commentary, but also just really funny that he's just having this conversation to himself about this. Like,
Well, I like the idea too that like they really played on a lot of things. He doesn't hear the door open.
Yep.
Doesn't hear him outside. Doesn't hear the door shut. As he walks back over, then he hears the
then he
door
hears
shut.
it. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I thought that was funny.
yeah, and like the things that he gets. So he first he tells him Matt talks about the devil sticks. So he puts the devil sticks in these box. Then he talks about N64. So he puts the N64 in this box.
Yeah.
Then he's walking out. He says the Ernest goes to jail. So he puts that in. So it's just like whenever Matt mentions something, he's like, oh, that's uncool. So I'm gonna go throw that away. You know.
Oh, is that? I didn't understand what the idea
Yes.
about. Okay, yeah.
Yes, he's just trying to get things that are uncool. Let's see. The coolest costume will be the coolest guy.
Yeah.
Oh, the fucking performance on that is so funny.
Yes.
And also like the zoom that it does.
Well, he's got a great like comedy face. His lips are like really big too.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm just thinking of that shot specifically and how you can't see his eyes. It's just his mouth going, coolest guy.
Yeah. And it just looks so funny. Just that.
Yep.
One thing I love is they bleep out the word shit, but they don't bleep out the word fuck. That's I don't know if that's like
I didn't even notice that.
I don't know if that's a Canadian television thing, but that's such a funny fucking bit. Like that's so I don't know.
I didn't even notice they had anything bleeped out. That's funny.
They bleep out the word shit, and I don't know if that's consistent because I know that they say fuck throughout it. I don't know if they bleep out the word shit specifically, but just the idea of bleeping out some swears and not bleeping out like worse swears is really great. Then maybe my favorite part about this episode, this is maybe the reason that I chose the episode, is they do this memory flashback when Jay is realizing that he should wear the Han Solo outfit, where it's showing Matt saying some words but it like cuts between him saying like he says this and it shows him a different time saying something else, and it comes up where he's like, I think that you should wear the Han Solo outfit because you would be a really cool guy. And it just like cuts between different memory flashbacks. And it's like this new fucking kind of comedy. It's like this way of like taking his memory and piecing it together with past things to like give him an idea about what he's thinking. That's showing that it's fucking genius. It's hilarious. It's amazing. And it does it a little bit more further in the episode and other things, but it's something I've never seen from like an editing standpoint that I absolutely love.
I'm trying to picture that part in my head. For some reason, I can't remember that part super well.
I don't know if I pieced together that it was saying it in that order. I thought it was just kind of like a chaotic flashback thing. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like it's making Matt say something using pieces of his memory. They're doing it.
That's it.
I was waiting to see how long you take. So I love that they get kicked out at the perfect time. And then I love where he's talking about like how he's like, when after they have the fight scene, Jay tells him that he was like someone told him that he was uncool, and he's like, oh, this is a cycle. So someone did to you what then you did to me. This is just like molestation, and then he
changes the subject.
Yeah. Like that's just I don't know. I thought that was a funny thing to do. And then
I along with that one thing that I love is when TV show episodes show that like, oh, something was done to someone, so they go and do it. Just because like I know that happens in real life, and like seeing that reflected and stuff is always. It's always like, wow, we all really do have similar experiences across things. Mm-hmm. And when you do this, it's normal and it's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We should work something like that into a good show episode.
Definitely. I love that it starts and ends at a hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in there, he calls them those bad boys. They're talking about the guys that were fighting him.
Yeah, those bad boys.
Yeah,
he
like,
looks so fucked up in the hospital bed.
Was that from a different episode? Why were those guys chasing him? What was
they were the ones that got kicked out of the theater.
They were behind them in the movie theater who complained, but they also got kicked out.
Okay, because they were walking and suddenly they just started chasing. I was like, this is really funny. Just like randomly having it be like, oh, they have these guys who chase them down sometimes.
No, it was the other guys that got kicked out of the theater because they blamed them for talking too. This actually brings up a good point. Do you think they deserve to get kicked out of the theater?
Accessibility does not mean that someone doesn't deserve to see a movie. So
in a theater on opening night?
Well, I mean, as far as like this guy is like blind is what I'm talking about. What are you talking about?
Well, I don't know. I think there are accessibility things where you can have headphones or something that will narrate it.
I'm talking about, do you believe that people should be able to talk in a theater?
Okay. My point about that is, hey, Okay. I mean, let me be clear here. In movie theaters, I don't talk because I fall asleep immediately. So my point that I was trying to make in the other episode wasn't that like, hey, I talk in movie theaters, so we should be able to do that. My point there was just like, it's kind of funny to go into a public place and then say nobody talk instead of just like going to a private place and saying nobody talk because nobody's going to be around.
It is kind of like setting yourself up for misery if you're expecting that everyone's going to be perfectly quiet.
Yeah.
Well, and more to the fact, it's just like, wait, why do we even have social norms where you go to a public place to be quiet? Like, just if you can do the exact same thing at home, just do that thing at home. Yeah. But that's more of just like a theoretical whatever. If we're talking about like, I don't know that I agree with people talking in movie theaters. Like, I've never been to one where someone's really done that. I assume I wouldn't really like it. However, I also just think theoretically it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
As far as if someone's blind and they need to go to a movie and have it read out to them, I don't know that they should be going to a movie.
It's just funny that they went to a movie and like
he read it out.
Yeah. Right
like
after
that's a really good
see.
bit. And actually, I think that I don't know if that was real, but if it was real, that almost crosses the line for me in terms of like what, because they do other things throughout the season where they can, they'll go out into public in front of like a restaurant and they'll like have a conversation or whatever, and it'll be that. But like, I do think that going into a movie theater, like especially Star Wars on like opening night, like for like this showing after, this is the first Star Wars of the third trilogy, and talking out loud during it, I think that is actually kind of like interfering with people's experiences, and I think that actually does cross a line for me.
Yeah, I don't like it when TikTokers go out there and like look, if you're gonna go out there and be strange in front of other people, I'm okay with that. If you're gonna go out there and interact and make other people the content, that's when I say that's a problem, right? And so I agree with that. On the other hand, it's Star Wars, so like,
well, here's what I'm saying. So Matt Johnson, if you're watching this, which I know you are, I think that
come be on our podcast.
Yeah, first of all, come be on our podcast.
No criticism, just join our podcast.
We'd love to have you on here, but we're going to criticize you a little bit. I love what you're doing with the public thing. I think it's awesome. I think it's a really new, interesting way of filmmaking. I do think that one crossed the line maybe a little bit, and I think that you maybe should feel a little bit questionable about it. Otherwise, your other stuff's great.
Maybe they did just run the theater out and make it feel real. The outside of the theater getting kicked out felt very real.
It was,
like,
yes.
Yeah.
It's crazy what they do, actually.
It's actually insane that they can create a show that is filmed like that, and I can watch it not knowing that. Like, that's like, it shows just the quality of what they're not only doing this, they're doing it really, really well too, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
I wish I had heard about this. But actually, like, low key, I think that like I remember seeing like ads for it back in 2014 or something like that, but I never watched it and never had any idea what it was about.
Yeah, I mean, well, so the name itself is already kind of like a little bit strange. Nirvana, the band, the
High
show.
School Musical, the musical,
right,
the show.
Right. I mean, obviously the name is a joke in itself, right? But like their band is Nirvana, the band. Like, that feels like it's a joke where like they're trying to play at this place. They're trying to pretend that they're Nirvana, but they're not technically Nirvana.
It was a plan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the thing is that they never talk about it like that. And there's an episode where they get into the magazine and it's listed as Nirvana, and they're like, shit, no, we're not Nirvana. We're Nirvana, the band. Like, it's almost like going against what you think the joke is.
Well, also Matt kind of looks like a fucked up version of
Kurt Cobain,
and Jay looks like a weird version of Chris Novoselic. So like, that's a good point. That's kind of what, like, watching it, I immediately went like, they're definitely playing off of that. But the idea, or the fact that they like then are like, oh no, we're not trying to be, Nirvana. Yeah. That's even funnier, right? Yeah. It's like subversion.
Right, subversions. Yeah. It's really cool. Yeah, I really love it. It started as a web series, then got picked up. Matt has also done a couple of movies. He's done one called The Dirties, done one called Operation Avalanche, and then Blackberry just came out.
We watched Operation Avalanche. I think I fell asleep though.
Yeah. Sorry, Matt.
I do that a lot. Don't take it
Operation
personally.
Avalanche is about these people that are faking the moon landing. And it's filmed like a documentary. It's pretty good.
It's just like 2001.
Exactly. Well, they have Stanley Kubrick stuff in it. One thing that I really love about what they do is that they are able to show Star Wars. They're actually able to show Star Wars.
Yeah, that was crazy. How did that?
this is thing. So I've watched interviews with Matt talking about this. And
Hold on, sorry. You just said this is thing.
This is thing.
This is thing.
So this is thing. So I've watched interviews about this. So basically, fair use law will allow you to use other kind of media properties and stuff like that if what you're doing, if using it is central to telling the story that you're trying to tell.
Okay.
Right? So in order to tell the story that they told, they have to have Star Wars in it. So they can get away with showing actual scenes of Star Wars using actual Star Wars music because the story that they're trying to tell requires it. Yes. And same thing with the Daredevil. Like, it requires it.
So like if you had a TV show where it required that you were talking about a certain band because of a bunch of, then you could like use their music in it?
I think that you could probably create a legal framework where you could do that.
Interesting.
Yeah. And a big thing is also having like a lawyer that is willing to like go along with that ride and like create and potentially do that. But you can create legal frameworks like that, and that's what they do with all of their stuff, and it's really incredible. And I think it's something. And the thing that it made me immediately think of for a good show is Melee. Mm-hmm. We absolutely can use Melee and stuff if it is important to the story, and we already have episodes written where it is important to the story, so we can do that, and we will have a legal framework.
But wouldn't the point be that it has to be Melee and it can't be something?
It can't be something else. Yeah, exactly. And so also I guess there's the point that like they have to not come after you, or if if they do come after you, you have that legal framework. But it sounds like these guys specifically have never had any issues legally with that sort of stuff because they have the framework kind of backing them up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I wonder, I mean, these guys are obviously on Viceland, right?
Viceland.
And so they have the funding from that, but like,
yeah.
I mean, you just have to have a lawyer on retainer essentially to be able to do stuff like that. Probably.
So yes, they have Vice doing it for that, but also they get funding from Canada, from Telus Film, I think is what it's called. Yeah, Canada has grant programs. Again, I've watched things with it where he's talking about different like grant things and all that sort of stuff. So, and Utah does have some film grants.
Let's go to Utah.
Yeah. I have one last thing about this episode and actually about this show. I love that he has to stand on the couch to write on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a funny detail that like just naturally occurs by like how that room is set up. That just like he does it constantly. He's always standing on the couch to do it. So we should put a whiteboard right here is what I'm saying.
A curved whiteboard.
Yeah. Did you guys have any final thoughts about this show or this episode?
It's a good show. I want to watch more episodes. Oh. This is fun.
Yeah, like sadly, I'm going to have to figure out how to use Internet Archive and like do all that because like it really is like it's one of those things that you watch and immediately your body just feels it might just be the editing or like the way that it's put out there, but it's like I want to watch more of this. It's really cool.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you so much for Matt Johnson and for his whole crew, Jared Rabb, Jay McCarroll, everybody else that works with them for creating this stuff. I think it's really cool and we'd love to watch more.
Yeah. What should we name the episode?
Well, hold on. Firstly, let's do Bumpy Trivia.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd like to hear, Emily, your
Hawaiian
answer.
Nationalist.
Hawaiian Nationalist?
I'm going with Hawaiian Nationalist because it's B for Bumpy.
Wait, so you already knew this beforehand, right?
I just guessed.
Oh, yeah. It is Hawaiian Nationalist is the answer. Did you know this beforehand?
I mean, I didn't know it, but I know things.
That name sounds Hawaiian.
Instinctively.
Yeah, but Bumpy Kanahele is a Hawaiian nationalist leader and titular head of the Principality of the Nation of Hawaii. So he, anyways, did a bunch of cool stuff for Hawaii. Go ahead and look him up. Bump it up, Bumpy Kanahele.
Kanahele.
For names, I was thinking Bumpy Soup, the band, the show.
Bumpy Soup, Bumpy Soup, the podcast, the show.
Yeah.
Bumpy Soup, the podcast, the show.
It's a good one. Trying to think of something.
I said it.
Banjo
Kazooie. Coolest costume, coolest guy.
Yeah, whoever like the coolest costume is the coolest guy.
Bumpiest costume is the bumpiest guy.
I don't know if we need to use Bumpy all the time.
Bump Joe Kazooie.
Kazooie. We talked a lot about video games. We had a lot about.
We did,
games.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if we talked about other ones more.
Bumpy Soup, the video game, the podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. I like it.
Well,
Nice.
go ahead and follow us on Instagram. We're Bumpy Soups, but everywhere else, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Bumpy Soup. We're on Patreon. We're on IndieFlix. We've been doing pretty well on Facebook. Go follow us on Facebook if you haven't so far. Follow us on Instagram. Yeah.
And
Thanks for watching or listening.
thank you so much for participating. We'll catch you next time.
Bump it up.
Bye-bye.
Oh, Bella's here, by the way. I didn't talk about this. Bella's here.
She's a lump.
Lump. Bye.
She's a bump.
Bye.